This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski.
In today's segment, we're going to be diving into the perplexing case of Luigi Mangione, the Ivy League graduate accused of the cold-blooded assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. What's truly astonishing in this whole case is the substantial public support. And as of this second, nearly $300,000 in donations pouring in from Mangione's legal defense. To help us understand the psychological motivations behind the individuals who choose to financially support someone accused of such a heinous act, we are joined by psychotherapist Siobhan Scott. Siobhan, what drives something like this? People to open their wallets to an alleged murderer? I mean, yes, alleged, but we saw him do it on camera. He did do it. Why the support?
Yeah, in our culture, we always love the anti-hero, the person who does bad things, but they have a good reason. I'm thinking of Dexter, right? I never watched the show, too gruesome for me, too close to things I've had to work with that were unpleasant. Batman, going back to Robin Hood, we appreciate someone who's fighting for us. They're avengers. And I think Luigi tapped into the anger at corporate America and our failed healthcare system, and he became a hero for people. And he really sees himself as somebody who was fighting for everybody else. But so did the Unabomber. But the Unabomber was not attractive, and so I don't think we saw people coming forward to send him money. But Luigi is many women's romantic fantasy.
If Luigi looked like the Unabomber, I don't think we'd be in this same place. If the Unabomber looked like Luigi, I think we'd be in the same place years ago with the Unabomber, believe it or not. It's a hard one to grapple with. I watched the investigation discovery piece on it the other day. Who is Luigi Mangione? Surprised you might walk away from it not knowing who Luigi Mangione is. But it did give us a little bit more insight, an upbringing that really was not fraught with trouble or problems. A family that really was pillars of the community, as far as we know. Brothers, sisters, everybody, decent places in life, mom, dad, good, decent people, just spoken of super highly everywhere. To this day, the family is still very, very well respected. But you have someone like this come out of it, and we did see a decline from what we understand in the movie or in the documentary, where we learn about Luigi kind of going off on his own world, kind of detaching from everybody, ending up in Hawaii, hanging out with surfers, going surfing, and eventually getting into a surfing accident that requires some surgery to his back, several pins. When you look at the body scan, the X-ray, it kind of makes you cringe a little bit to think of having that in your back. And it seems that's where a lot of the disgust with the medical industry came in. But not that it was the first thing that kind of seemed to make him go off on a tangent of some sort of vitriolic circumstance or direction of trying to expose the system or speak up for the little guy, even though he was never the little guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I look at his history, agree with you, there's nothing dark and ugly and evil, no abuse, but you can still have narcissistic tendencies, and, we can only speculate about him, but usually with people who do these kinds of crimes, there's an element of, look at me, I'm the hero here, look what I can do, I can save you all. So that's an element of narcissism, and you probably had that pre-existing. And people like that often do very well in life. They can have this image of their own greatness and achieve really wonderful things. But he definitely went down a dark hole and became very angry. And as I understand it, detached from his family, in the months before the murder. And the pain he went through and frustration with the medical system may have fed anger, and that we can certainly speculate was part of what drove him to develop this whole idea that he had.
When people look at Luigi Mangione, do you think they see narcissists there? I mean, the way that you do, the way that I do, the way that people who understand that do, that really kind of look at this and dig in and go, yeah, total narcissist here. But does the general public see him that way?
No, I don't think so. I think they see him as appealing, attractive, and doing the right thing. I mean, I'm on the internet quite a bit, and that's certainly the spectrum from all sorts of people. You know, we're wearing Luigi t-shirts, you know, people are just so angry. And as I say, he tapped into something that's a real problem in the country.
Is it the attractiveness that's standing out there? Because I can think of many other large figures in this country right now who are malignant narcissists that are just, you know, and I'm not trying to make a political statement here, but look, our president, total freaking narcissist. Again, I'm not making a political statement, just look, he is. And you have a lot of love for that type of personality, it seems. People get excited when they talk about that personality that basically, screw you to the world, I'm going to do what I want to do. Again, not being political, just that's kind of the attitude of I'm going to do what I want to do, and that's the end of it. Why do people seem to love that type of personality? Because with Luigi Mangione, we saw the same thing. Screw you, I'm going to take this guy out. You know, the rest of it be damned.
How I frame it is a person like this is a stand-in. He's a representation for everybody else's dark side. And a lot of people have revenge fantasies, thoughts of what they'd like to do to people who aren't like them, you know, the out group, what we want to do to the rich people, or what we want to do to minorities. I mean, it can go all over the place with what their revenge fantasies are. But then you have a person that comes along like this, and they act out the fantasy. They may say cruel things about minority groups. Maybe they don't ever do anything violent, but they speak what their thoughts really are. And I think our president does that. He can say very cruel things about other people. And people love it. People who have that dark side and have a lot of anger that they're sitting on, and this may be fed by the media they watch, and it's finally like, whoa, somebody came along and did what I've always been thinking about.
And that's the scary thing, the revenge fantasies. Yeah. Are we at a place where people have revenge fantasies at a much higher number than they did in the past? I mean, we all can have those moments, but it feels like people are more so just like seething on them all the time now, and it's right at the surface, and it's not just, oh, you cut me off, or, you know, I mean, look, I hate the healthcare system too, but I don't think what he did was right. But you know, I've had moments where I'm like, my God, like, why can't you get this right? I can't say I've sat there thinking about going into the healthcare facility and doing anything. I think that would be horrible and crazy. But is there more of this now? Do we have more? Is it more acceptable to have revenge fantasies and to have them so close to the surface of being able to be acted out?
Yeah, I think the level of outrage in the culture, and probably in many other countries too, the level of outrage is higher than it's ever been. And this is, I think, why we see the political schism as bad as it is now. People are angry. And what fuels that? I think the media, social media fuels it. You know, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm always trying to share humor. I'm trying to share things that are uplifting or interesting or educational, things about psychology, because I think emotions are contagious, but a lot of people are on there sharing outrage, and they're sharing, you know, this hostility and this idea of it's our group against all the other groups, you know, no matter what place you're at on the political spectrum. It's like a sports team kind of thing. And I think this has just fueled this tendency for some people to just simmer in it.
I think initially, when social media kind of came about, and for a lot of people, like, it's always been here. Yeah, it's pretty new. It's really, really freaking new. the thought I think might have been, okay, now people have an outlet to let this stuff out, because before social media, we always knew somebody who was, always kind of sitting over there seething on this or that, or, they were just kind of bitchy and like they went home at the end of the night, went to bed. It was a new day the next day. They found new things to be outraged by or mad at, but it ended. It would go up, it would come back down. It would go up, it would come back down. Social media seems to have allowed things to not come back down. It's like, I can be enraged at this today, and then tomorrow I can get it even further. And then I join this group, and it no longer goes back down to a healthy place of it's not worth consuming your whole life over. And sooner or later, it consumes, because it slowly gets into their brain. It's just slowly takes over in a very dark, almost seductive way.
Mm-hmm. It's very seductive. It's very catching. And when people marinate in it, and they particularly join online groups, no matter what platform they're using, they can find a group for just about anything. And then they're with other people who reinforce the outrage constantly. And they can log in at 6 a.m. They can log in at midnight, and here's this continual feeding of the anger and the negativity and the outrage and the distortion. Frankly, a lot of the information is wrong. Mm-hmm. But it's the attraction of our amygdala is attracted to things that make people angry or frightened. And it's, we've only had Facebook, I joined in 2008, 2009. This is fairly recent. And a lot of people have just joined in recent years, and everybody, finds a niche, and it can be wonderful. I mean, I love social media, but it's how you use it. Yeah. And you can use it with uplifting, content and uplifting people or fascinating, interesting people, but so many people don't, and so many people use it for all the wrong reasons.
Well, that's what's going on, and that's how people act. How do you fix something like this? Because it is so ingrained in people now. I mean, we even saw, if you look at the Luigi Mangione support page for financial stuff, you see doctors, you see nurses, you see people like that on there saying, like, thank you, or I believe in your cause. You're bringing awareness to this. There's outrage everywhere, without a doubt. And of course, in the end of the day, Brian Thompson, his memory, he was a father, he was a husband. He was seemingly very well liked with a lot of people. Yeah, there was a question about an investigation and insider trading. It's not a death penalty, but that could certainly put you away if you did something bad there. But as a human being, he wasn't disliked for the most part. Anyway, but going back to how do you fix something like this, where people are just so quick to go, you're the devil, let's destroy that, and then let's fund whatever destroyed that current devil.
Yeah, and that's it, the current devil. If we could solve the problems fueling the outrage, certainly, if and it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but if we could make progress on the healthcare fiasco in this country, would that help? Would that prevent other, hospital staff or, insurance company staff? Would it prevent them from being at risk? Because I think people who work in hospitals are at risk as well. We've had people go in with guns and kill surgeons. I mean, there have been a lot of weird cases of violence happening in hospitals. In our local hospitals, you have to go through a metal detector now because of the violent incidents. So if we could solve that problem, would that help that? But then there are all the other reasons that people get outraged and other people who can be targets. And I don't know how we solve that other than to keep having these discussions. And it's something I talk to people about all the time, is only use social media for positive, uplifting, interesting information. You can curate that news feed. You don't have to waste time on things that upset you and make you miserable. And so that's a message I keep sharing. I don't know, my outreach, I've got 6,000 people on Facebook that follow me. So I'm often told that it does make a difference and people pay attention to that. But we all need to keep saying it. It's like, let's smarten up.
Ultimately, it comes down individually to people going, I don't want to be consumed by negativity. I don't want to be consumed by anger. And it takes a second to kind of get there, especially if you're already amped up, or that's what you're so conditioned to being. If every day your brain is trained to get, all right, what are we going to get upset about today? Let's keep scrolling. If you realize, geez, that's really affecting me in other areas of life, and I'm not really a great person to be around. I don't even like myself if I'm getting too deep into that. That's why there needs to be a little more awareness on that, and a little more self-reflection that people really have a hard time doing. It's just in mass. Everyone needs to do something like that. We need to teach this a little bit better. We need
Definitely teach it.
But before we put this into our children's hands, and look, I'm guilty of it too. I think we need to understand what it can do to us before we even hand it off to them, because I think most of us, parents and such, who had these things from our early 20s or mid 20s on up, and we became parents and like, oh, well, it's technology. Let's let the kids learn it. And we didn't fully understand the dangers of it. I'm wondering if generationally, the ones that have had it, like literally since birth, if they'll have a better understanding and be better able to police it or monitor it or find a better way to live with it without it being such a detriment to society.
We sure hope so. It's a conversation I have to have with unnamed people in my family who immerse themselves in the podcast world, and they're listening to a lot of political stuff that's angry. And it's leaking out in irritability. And honestly, it's my husband. He's having nightmares, and it's like, quit listening to the podcast at 11 o'clock at night before you go to sleep. It's like it's something we have to continually remind people. It's like, you can't control the world. You can only control what goes on up here. And if we want to create a better world, we've got to do a better job of this.
The world of true crime never stops, and neither do we. Press subscribe now to get daily updates, in-depth analysis, and expert opinions from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today.